Food market. Food markets only.
Meet Susie Smart, she is so bright. On her blackboard you can write. She has a desk, she has a seat. What's your name, my dolly sweet?
My name is Susie Smart.
She can talk!
She can talk, but can she add?
2 plus 2 is 4. Cat, C-A-T.
You can spell!
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how
You recite!
Press the button, she says a dozen things, complete with desk, blackboard, and seat. Susie Smart, sold at food markets only.
What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. Did you try it? I'm not going to try it. You try it. I'm not going to try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger.
Well, that was fun. I think we had enough cheeseburgers. Good evening, boys and girls, cats and kittens, pups and pooches. It's Susie Q96. For whoever wanted to know who all was here, I'm here. I'm not sure how long I'm here, but I'm here. I see some of you have caught the news. I am officially right down to I even know what my apartment number is. Signed on to move my little happy self off to Michigan. The only thing left now is coordinating with the chauffeur extraordinaire, Mr. Sir Benji, and fighting with U-Haul, who decided that in their infinite wisdom that I don't need 6 days, I only need 4. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to do that because it's going to take 2 days for me to load the stuff and 2 days to unload the stuff. And that kind of leaves out the 2 in the middle there for driving. So that's a little weird. I got to deal with them tomorrow, but tomorrow's another day, as Scarlett O'Hara said. So we'll fiddle-dee-dee with them later. Let me see who's here. New Marshall in town, Leanne Crawford, Lucky James Eller, Jackalope Herdmaster, David Canham. I think that's it right now. Glad you're here, David. I was doing all of the packets today to get them to mail out, and one of your wins was a sticker pack, and I can't find the sticker pack. So, and I'm about out of everything. So I made you a little mini sticker pack, and basically in place of what I have lost, I'm going to throw you in a buffalo nickel. Other than that, everybody's stuff landed where it was supposed to. And I may still come across the sticker pack, but I don't want to hold up mailing things because I can't find something like that wasn't even like a really super good prize. So, excuse me. So I'm going to throw you in a buffalo nickel, since I'm not 100% sure what I did with that prize. Oh, y'all gonna have to excuse me. I have terrible heartburn. I ate one little mint candy and it set me off. I mean, one. So I don't know. And I really don't have a show planned because I got wrapped up in all of the moving stuff. Well, I kind of have a show planned actually. But since I didn't do my coin show, some of this stuff is left over from Monday. And one of them, I used to do a show in the morning, way early in the mornings, called It Was the News with Susie Smart. That's how Susie Smart got into this whole deal here. And one of the things I would do on that show, oh, there's my friend, Florida Metal Detecting. Woohoo! So anyway, I used to do this show, and I would go on old newspaper sites and find articles about coins and about metal detecting and counterfeiting and all kinds of things. Well, I ran across one while I was looking up an obituary for one of my genealogy clients, and it's from 1951, and I'm gonna share it with y'all because it's kind of interesting to see what was going on there then versus what is going on now. And this is from 1951, from the Clayton record in Clayton, Alabama, August 3rd, 1951. And I'm gonna pull it up here, but it's kind of hard to read, so, but there's the article. And what this is gold piece is called Nation's Rarest Coin. And I'm just going to read it to you because it's too hard to read on the screen. And it says, have you ever wondered which is the rarest coin issued in America, or which coin is worth the largest amount? Coin collectors can tell you certain pieces have great values. Although it is true that thousands of coins 100 years or older can be purchased at a small amount over face value, some 10 or 12 have records of $2,000 to $12,000. Now remember, folks, this is 1951. Value depends on scarcity, and these rate because they are classed as unique. The 1822 $5 gold piece, for example, is cataloged at $12,500 and may have sold at the figure in the last 5 years. Even the experts are not sure that there are more than 3 in existence. The 1850 $5 gold piece is listed at $1,250 to $2,500. Among the nickels, the extremely rare 1913 Liberty or V-type nickel is listed in catalogs at 3,000 to 3,700, and only 6 are known to be in existence. About half a dozen 1894S dimes are known to be in circulation and are valued at $2,250 each. One of them might bring as high as $5,000. The 1827 quarter dollar is also classed as a rarity and priced at $2,500, although there are no records of a sale for that amount. So that's what those coins were worth back in 1951. So in a little while, we may come back to this article and look up those coins and see what they're worth now. See, that's what my good questions. That's why I said we may go look those up later, unless you guys want to do what Jackalope just did. Yeah, where is the other one? That's a good question. It may be under my desk. It may be out there where somebody dropped it. Somebody's grandkids stole it out of their collection to buy candy with. We have no idea where that other one went. But I thought it was an interesting article and gives you something to look at. And then there's another one on the same page that has nothing to do with coins or metal detecting, but I find it very interesting the way we are taught now about wearing sunglasses to protect our eyes. There's an article over here in 1951 that says the indiscriminate use of tinted glasses can prove harmful. The normal healthy eye does not need colored glasses for protection against the sun's rays any more than it needs a glass for better vision. The person who needs glasses for improved vision seldom requires a tinted lens to ward off the sun's rays. On the other hand, a person who does not wear a correction but merely wears the tinted lens because the sun is shining is apt to weaken the normal adjustment of his eye. Now, this is totally opposite of what they tell us now. So it's kind of interesting to go look at some of these old newspapers and see what they believed and disbelieved. And so anyway, I wanted to share that since it popped up today when I was messing around looking for something else on my computer for somebody in one of my genealogy things. Oh, there's Furry. I got my fingers crossed for that phone of yours, Furry. Hi, William E. M3 put it in his nanner. Really? It's hard to say where those coins went. But I just thought that was a very interesting article. And there was one I looked up. If you go way back and you find that was the news shows, I think they were in 2021, maybe the early part. I need to put them in a separate list I used to do it like at 7 o'clock in the morning when I'd get up to take my medicine, and I would sit down at the computer and do these articles. And I may do it again because it was fun. We found some interesting things. There was one that I would love to go to this place and take my metal detector, but it was one about a giant truck full of pennies that had spilled going around a turn by a river, and they went back and tried to get as many of them back as they could, but uh, I'd love to go there and metal detect, because I know people have gone to where it says in the article, but I think the article may be off by a mile or two. I looked at some old maps. I'm trying to find the article again. Because I can't remember. Now, this is a different one here. This one is 1972 in Jessup, Maryland. Boy, this would be a place to be hunting. I'm going to read this one too. This is not the same one. A truck carrying 4.3 million pennies. Oh, by the way, this is Jessup, Maryland, September of 1972. A truck carrying 4.3 million pennies turned over on an entrance ramp to southbound I-95 here Wednesday, dumping copper-filled canvas sacks all over the highway, state police say. They said the truck, belonging to the Transfer Trucking Corporation of Jessup, was starting a run to Durham, North Carolina, when it went out of control and overturned. The driver, Matthew Ferguson, 65, of Durham, suffered minor cuts and bruises. Traffic was tied up for several hours while police cleared the road. There was no explanation of why the truck was carrying $43,000 worth of pennies. Because maybe they were subcontracting for the mint. Jessup, Maryland's not all that far from Philly. Okay, here's another one from 1965. No, that one's just comparing picking up little baby fish to picking up pennies. This might be it. I know. Oh, here's something interesting. That's good. There's a lot of pennies in them there hills. Here's a penny spill off of I-80 near Gold Run, California. How ironic is that? When a truck overturned en route from the Denver Mint to San Francisco, the truck was carrying 7.6 million pennies. Can you imagine? But the one I'm looking for, it was like on a dirt road, and I'm sure I've saved that article. I just don't know what I would have done with it. It's in one of those old videos. We did a whole thing about it, but yeah, that was pretty. I never really stopped to think about that, but it's um, an interesting thought to search for places like that. Yep. See, there's stuff we don't know about. And if you go back and you look in those old papers, hi, Treasure Woman, Doug Harding. Oh, I was going to mess with you bad today, Doug, but I decided not to. Because you've been so patient. But I was going to tell you that I did, in fact, today start getting the things packaged up to mail out from the 12 days of Christmas. And I was going to tell Doug that I'm doing it by alphabetical order by where you live. Doug will understand that one. Why that would be messing with Doug. And Doug lives in Vancouver. I don't have anybody that lives in anything that ends with anything that far into the alphabet. So that would have put Doug last again. Well, Leanne, I have a subscription to one of the old newspaper things that comes with my subscription to Ancestry, which I have to have because I do genealogy for money. So I have a subscription to a database of old newspapers. Now, once in a while, if I can't find something, there's about 4 or 5 of those paid archives out there. Then there's also some free ones. But every once in a while, I will sign up for one just for a month to use it for one specific subject and then cancel it. But there's one that I do the best on, and so and it is attached to Ancestry, so I have that one all the time. And they also happen to have newspapers in that one from 2 of my hometowns, the place I was born and the place I grew up. So I find those very interesting. Sometimes I'll be working on, I'm selling my 45 record collection, and I have a lot of records that were made by local bands back in the 60s, and I'll be sitting here trying to remember who was in that band. So I'll look them up and see if I can uh, come up with some background info on the band. I found that if I include that in my descriptions of the records, it helps me sell the records and it helps me get more money for them. Like, I have a really, really friend since I was like 14, maybe, that I met standing in line at a concert, and he was giving out copies of records of his band. Well, those records are worth their weight in gold. Like I've had 3 or 4 of them, and let's just say that they are helping me pay for this move to Michigan. But one of the reasons is that I know enough about the band that I know that later on, one of the members of that band ended up playing with the Rascals, which were who were one. They start out as the Young Rascals, the absolute kings of New Jersey rock and soul. Uh, but years later, my friend Charlie ended up playing in the New Rascals. And as soon as I put that in, and I had a little newspaper clipping about it. As soon as I mentioned that in the sale, it doubled the price of that record because Charlie was on it. So I use those newspapers for a lot of different things. Primarily for genealogy. I just recently solved a great mystery for one of my friends down in Clearwater, Florida. I wish we could have done that when his wife was still alive. She had 2 men that one was her dad and one wasn't, and she didn't know which was which. And her mom had died without ever telling her which was which. And fortunately, they were from Ohio. And Ohio is a state that does something unusual with adoption records. For one thing, you can actually get to your adoption records if you know what you're doing in Ohio. And the other thing they do is if there will be 2 different files. There'll be your original birth certificate, and then there'll be an amended birth certificate. And because I knew that, and because I found a little newspaper clipping from the 1940s indicating that this lady had filed for divorce and was seeking child support for an infant daughter, and that was the only child this lady had. So it named who she was trying to get divorced from, and we were able to find the original birth certificate and the adopted one and solve the mystery. And we did it because of one little paragraph in an Ohio newspaper. And they tried that lady's whole life to figure out which one of these 2 men was her dad. And I was so sad that she had passed away before I could solve it. But her kids are, they are ecstatic. And I did it. Yeah, that was kind of a good show, and the only reason I stopped doing it, James, was because I had that pulmonary embolism. I had just started that show, and I did it almost every morning, and then I got sick and I couldn't do it anymore. But I enjoyed that show, and people learned a lot of things. The problem is I don't know if I could get my audience back because everybody and their mama is watching Ida Herring at that time. But I may do it anyway. I mean, I'm not bad mouthing Ida. Ida has helped me many a time, but it would just put me up against somebody that has a couple hundred viewers. But I may do it anyway because I think the show has educational value and it's still fun because some of the articles I was finding were pretty darn funny. I remember there was one about some little kid in the 1800s that stole a bunch of money, and then he tried to take it down to the bank and trade it in because it was paper money, and he wanted coins because they'd be easier for him to deal with. Well, it turned out it was all counterfeit. And the kid was in all kinds of trouble until he told them where he got it from. Some of the stories are really good. Hey, Miss Greenwood, how you doing? Found a lot of old papers under the flooring of my childhood home. Of course, since I was a kid, I saved comics instead of the Nazis invade Holland front page. Yeah, back then people used to use newspapers. They would put them under the flooring for insulation to keep the cold air from coming up through the floor. I remember my dad went over to take a wall down at my Aunt Vesta's house. It wasn't a load supporting wall. It just made a little two little rooms, and she didn't have any kids at home or anything. She wanted this one big room. So my dad goes over there. He was a handyman, and he's going to take this wall out for her and put a nice little uh sliding door in there so she could have big room, little room. And when he started tearing into that wall, he found all kinds of things down in there, including some coins, which I don't know whatever happened to those coins, but there were some coins in there. But he found a lot of 1929 to 1935 newspapers that had been stuffed in there as insulation, and they had all this stuff in there about the beginning of the Great Depression and the banks closing down. And I wish he had not just thrown them out. He brought maybe one or two home and threw all the rest away. And I was just fascinated with them. I thought that was really cool. And then we found a bank book down in there where apparently the lady of the house had a little secret sliding hole where she would keep this bank book. So apparently she had a little savings account going that hubby didn't know about. Of course, the bank didn't exist anymore, and that money was probably all lost in the Depression. But it was neat to see those papers, and I enjoy going back and reading some of these articles. They're just I have some about arguing over who invented the um, metal detector. It's, but yeah, there's a lot of those shows that I saved. Ooh, I think this might be it. Nope, that's not it. No, that's not it. I know I have it somewhere, and it gave a real accurate description of where those pennies. Oh yeah, here we go. This is going to be kind of interesting. This is from 1939. The U.S. Mint informs us that 5 billion pennies have been lost since they first started minting them. These misplaced coppers may be in many children's banks. Those that have disappeared from circulation may be down a drain or lost in small cracks by hundreds of youngsters. The sales tax on articles have brought forth the lack of these coins, no doubt. Someone suggests we have new ones minted with a hole in the center, as do the Chinese. We could string them on ribbons for necklaces. We recently read where a plate of pennies appeared on the street of a Midwestern city. A man had heated the pennies to a red glow and tossed them to children to hear them cry when they touched the hot coins. A judge didn't hesitate to fine this fellow an amusement tax with a jail sentence to cool off the episode. The entire affair turned out to be less amusing than the donor of the pennies expected, and we don't thank him for putting those pennies back into circulation. Oh my God, that is so mean. That is mean. I had a friend that spent a counterfeit at a small grocery store. They called the authorities and she ended up leaving but left her info. The Secret Service contacted her about it. I have people that think I'm paranoid because when I used to do flea markets and I had one of those pens where you test paper money and it got around pretty quick among the crooks that don't come over to my booth because I'm going to even test $1. But I caught a lot of counterfeit bills being passed at the flea market. You know, they'd come in there with $100 bill and buy something that costs $10 or less. Now, see, I would never make that kind of change because I just didn't trust them, and it's because I worked in a grocery store, and I kind of knew what counterfeits felt like and looked like. But oh yeah, people will definitely try to pass them at small grocery stores or places like that where they think you're not going to be smart enough to spot uh, whether or not something is fake or real. I'm still looking for that one because it was just so good. Then there was another one that I had where they used a metal detector to try to find a car that was allegedly buried by mobsters with uh, people in it that they had knocked off. And I thought, what an interesting use for a metal detector. Well, let's go look and see if we can find where the mobsters buried this car. And I don't remember what happened. Yeah, right now I don't remember if they ever found the car or not, but I thought, man, what an interesting way of hunting. I don't know where it is. It might have been in a different set of newspapers than this one. But I've looked up a lot of interesting things that I have found about coins. Here's one using pennies as a way to get back at the New York subway. It's pretty funny. This was in 1990. It said New Yorkers are giving their 2 cents worth to the city subway system, nearly 1 million pennies a week to purchase ride tokens. Clerk and Transit Authority officials say some people are flooding token booth clerks with pennies in revenge for a recent 15-cent fare hike and what they perceive as poor service. Oh my goodness. Hadn't thought about doing that one, but yeah, I guess that would kind of be annoying. Yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to this rumor or not, but I did hear that when they first started looking for Jimmy Hoffa, they broke out metal detectors because they thought that he had been buried in his car. So that's, yeah, I actually knew a guy back when I lived in Texas in the early 90s, um, who was part of our, I was into computers early on, and I belonged to the Commodore Computer Club. Had my Commodore 64, had my Commodore 128. Uh, anyway, this guy was in our computer club, and he ended up. It turned out he was a counterfeiter and went to prison for counterfeiting. Oh my God. With a Commodore 64, he would get his basic drawings out, and then the rest of it he all did by hand because we didn't have like printers like we have now. We had dot matrix and all that. But yep, counterfeiter. It was something. Oh. And then when I was cleaning today, I found this little booklet that it's like 3 or 4 pages. Came from Littleton Coin Company, and it's supposed to teach you about bag marks, toning, staining of uncirculated coins. So I thought we'd take a little look at what it has to say about bag marks, because that's something I'm not particularly familiar with. Bag marks. I'll try to read it and keep the picture there at the same time. It says Susie's having a hard time breathing, is what it says. No. It says bag marks or contact marks are normally found on uncirculated coins and should not be confused with wear from circulation. These marks are caused by abrasion to the coins during and after the minting process. During that process, the coins drop from the mint machinery into bins and hit against each other, sometimes causing deep contact marks. After minting, coins are sealed in cloth bags. As the bags are moved from one place to another for storage and distribution to banks, the coins rub against each other, leaving contact marks on their surfaces. The larger and heavier the coins, the more likely they are to have bag marks. And then it shows you different places where you would see such marks. So there we go. We've learned something today. Educational. Educational? I don't know. Susie Smart stuff. Well, anyway, I am not feeling well. As y'all know, I had to do a skip on my show Monday because I'm having problems with my stomach. And it's getting better, but it's not up to par yet. And I really have like a ton of stuff to do, but I'm thinking I'm going to go to bed early again tonight. I was supposed to have help to go down to the storage shed today, but that fell through. So anyway, I am getting started on everybody's packages. You're not going to have to wait. Yep, you're right. I work every day. I don't have any help. I can tell you a little bit about my apartment. First of all, M3 was officially approved as an emotional support animal years ago. But one of the perks of that is that when you get your critter approved every year and you move, you do not have to pay a deposit if you have a service animal or an emotional support animal. So I was informed today there is no charge for Mr. M3. So that's a good thing. My apartment, fortunately, the building has elevators because I will be on the 5th floor, which is okay because the apartment has 2 patios or balconies, one off the living room and one off the bedroom. I don't really have a sister anymore. Once your family member watches you fall to the ground and you can't get up and sees that you are bleeding all over yourself, and instead of helping you get up and helping you pack your things up, they get in their car and drive away and leave you there by yourself bleeding, you don't have a family member. So the answer to that question is absolutely no. And it never will. That was like kind of the final straw that broke the camel's back. And if I sent you the photographs of the injuries I sustained in that fall, you'd probably puke. I was laid up because of that for almost 2 months. And then just to put the knife in my back a little bit further, uh, I was supposed to be in a craft show that I'm in every year at Christmas, where I would have made a substantial bit of money for my move. And instead of taking my application down there when she took hers, she took her friend's application and got my spot and got the last 2 spots. So I was not able to be in the show, and I lost several $100s towards my move. So, in answer to your question, no, I do not speak to her anymore. That, and she went around telling everybody I really didn't need to go to Michigan and that there wasn't anything really wrong with me that they couldn't treat here. And yeah, it's just too much. If you've ever had to deal with a narcissist, you know, I'm sorry, but when she left me lying on the ground to load my car after this one sale with blood pouring out of my leg and my arm and didn't come back for 2 hours, that was the end for me. So I don't anticipate that. Yeah, even her best friend who was there after she drove off, because her best friend and her husband were the ones that ended up coming and getting me up off the ground and doing what they could to help me, although they left me there too. But at least they came and got me up off the ground. And even she said, why would she do something like that? You know, everybody that saw it knew it was wrong. And so at that point, I just, see, I had already gone no contact with her more than once, where I didn't speak to her for over a year. And her daughter, who I love dearly, asked me to give her another chance. And so I did. And this was what happened out of it. And so I just said, nope. And the other part is she does not like that I have a good relationship with my brother. She and my brother don't speak either. So, and my brother, yeah, some of you have even seen him in here a few times. I'm not going to not talk to my brother because she doesn't like him. It's just not going to happen. So I have given up on that, James. And even if I had not given up on it, she has a habit of telling you she will help you do something or she will take you somewhere, and then right at the last minute call you up and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that, and just leave you hanging. So I just, my life is much less stressful without her. I love her because she's my sister, but I don't like her very much. And she would be of zero help. So, nah. I'm afraid that that's just a lost cause there. It's a shame, but like I said, I am not gonna. If you leave somebody, especially since I was taking blood thinners at the time, so I mean, the blood, I could have bled to death. I really could have. It was very bad. So, nope. Yeah, family dynamics can be a real pain in the butt. So, I stick with the ones, if you treat me with respect, I treat you with respect. And I have a huge, huge family. My mother had 14 brothers and sisters. My dad had 11. So I have like a ton of cousins and nieces and nephews and, you know, yada yadas all down the line. And I'm the same way with all of them. If you treat me with respect, that's what you'll get back. And that's why I talk to my brother every day. My sister lives right here in the same town. No, it's okay. It's all right, James. Every family has this crap. Everyone. You know, I don't know any family where everybody gets along with everybody. I just don't. You know. But as far as looking towards her for any kind of assistance in the move, she sat right in front of her husband and some of the workers at the health facility he's in and looked me square in the face and said, I don't know why you're bothering. You're never going to get back to Michigan. Well, guess what? That shows you how little my sister knows me. It took me 3 years, but by golly, I'm getting back to Michigan. Yes, she is, Leanne. I am the youngest. My brother is quite a bit older than me. He is also older than her. She's the middle child. And you're gonna have that. Yeah, I don't have a lot of immediate family. My parents are both deceased. I have my brother and my sister, and I don't deal with my sister. So I have my brother. Hey, Annette. And I do talk to him. He has he has an interesting attitude about a lot of things, and one of those is if I need something for medical reasons, he will see that I get it. If I just say, "Oh, I want a new pair of shoes," he's not going to buy me a new pair of shoes. But if my doctor says, "Look, she needs these orthopedic shoes because of the problem with her feet, blah, blah, blah," those shoes will show up at my door. If it's got to do with my health, he'll put it there. Thank you, New Marshall. I do have you guys, and you're awesome. All of you. Absolutely. Well, I knew it was going to be a lot of work once I got stuck here, but I was not about to give up because I know what is in Michigan. I'm not heading into the unknown. I know about the transportation. I know about the medical care. I know about the housing. I know what neighborhood's good and what's not good. I know where the good music is. I know where the things I need are and how to get them for the most part. And by the way, I got when they called me, they gave me my rent figures, and my rent is actually going down by $10. So that's a good thing. And my apartment deposit there is $50 cheaper than it was here. So, yeah, and I know where a decent storage unit within a mile and a half of where I'm moving to is. So I'm overjoyed. The apartment is a little bit bigger, but it's much better laid out. And this little place has two little closets. That one has two small ones and two big ones. Hi, Miss White. I getting ready to move, baby. I got an official address and everything. I'm gonna be up in the sky though. I'm gonna be on the 5th floor. I've already figured out how I'm gonna keep M3 from dashing off the balcony. So now I'm just dealing with U-Haul and Sir Benji, who I hope is feeling better. He was terrible shape last night. He had to pull a Susie and quit in the middle of his show. Like I had to do Monday. I couldn't even do my show. And then at least he started his last night. But he was not feeling good at all. We got to get him well because he's the chauffeur of the U-Haul truck. So anyway. Oh, William, that's not the problem with the U-Haul. The problem with the U-Haul is they had given me a weekly rate, which was for 6 days. It was a flat rate. And now they have changed it to 4 days, and I can't make this move in 4 days because it's going to take 2 to load it and 2 to offload it, and that doesn't leave any time for us to actually drive. So I got to I'm glad I kept the screenshot when I made the original reservation that shows 6 days. So I got to call them and butt heads with them. And plus, we've also got, yeah, let's see, that price you're showing there is for 1 day. I need 6 days. And because the truck is bigger, it's 29, not 19. And the insurance is higher. And we're going to have a tow dolly because we're going to be pulling a Grand Caravan van behind us. So it's complicated, but it'll happen. My brother cracked me up today. We were talking about it, and he said something about towing the vehicle, and I said, I've done that before. He said, by yourself? I said, yeah. How do you think my car got from Michigan to Georgia? How do you think my car got from Georgia to Virginia? It's not hard. But then I drove race cars, and I used to tow my race cars, so it just never occurred to my brother that I had towed that car all over the place. But it's going to the yard of junk. It's got almost, well, right around 250,000 miles on it, and it has an overheating issue that we've tried to fix. And anybody that lives in Michigan knows that a car from Michigan has suspension problems because they don't know how to make roads in Michigan. In Michigan, the only people that drive in a straight line are drunk people because the sober people know you got to drive around the potholes. The drunks are just like, yeehaw! Oh, wow. I had one do that for me, Mud Swat, years ago. I broke one of my front teeth. It broke like on an angle, and it was so embarrassing and to me that I wouldn't go on stage and play music because I didn't have a front tooth, and it was really embarrassing. And they had this clinic that came through where and I didn't have any insurance or anything, where it was first come, first serve, and I was down there at 3 o'clock in the morning sitting in a lawn chair freezing my butt off, and there was still two people ahead of me, and the guy did the same thing. He built that brand new tooth, and it lasted for years. When they handed me the mirror, because it had been like that for a couple years, and I was just so humiliated and embarrassed by it. And he handed me the mirror, and I looked at it, and I started bawling like a baby because it looked just like my real tooth. There are some guys out there that, like you said, they are artists. The problem is a lot of insurance doesn't want to pay for those guys. And I'm hoping that as dental care progresses, we'll have more guys like that, because the guy that did that for me, that was awesome. So I know you had to be absolutely thrilled because it, for one thing, saves you a ton of money. They were like, well, we're gonna have to pull it out, and then we're gonna have to do root canal, and then we're gonna have to do a bridge, and then we're gonna have to do, and it was mine actually lasted, Mud Swat, for 10 years. I'm gonna say right around 10 years. The guy was excellent, and I wish more dentists would do what that guy was doing. There was him and three or four others who were going from town to town and volunteering to fix people's problems like that for free. And that was the reason that I walked around that way, was because I had no way to pay to get any of that work done. So, yeah, mine lasted 10 years. Well, of course, because it's cheap and effective, and greedy dentists don't want to do it because then they can't. Number one, it's also a lot less painful. I mean, I hate dentists. I do. I hate them, except for that one. There's one in, I think she's in Grand Blanc, and I'm gonna call her when I get back up there because she was real good. But there's one over in Detroit I just want to shoot. Kevin! Hi, Kevin. How you doing, sweet pea? We're just talking about crazy stuff tonight. We have gone through trucks of spilled pennies. We have gone through what bag marks are on coins. We have gone through the fact that I finally have my apartment and I will be moving in on February the 1st or 2nd, depending. But everything is official, and yeah, that's it right there. I ended up I had to go over to what is the name of the place? If Lucky James is still in here, he might know. I'm thinking it was like St. Mary's or something like that. Anyway, it was in Detroit. And they made me go all the way over there to get a bone filed down so my bottom denture would fit. Well, this idiot that was working on me was not paying any attention. He didn't have the guard in my mouth. The nitrous tank wasn't working. And anyway, he lost control of the instrument and tore the inside of my mouth all to heck, to the point that I ended up in the intensive care unit for a week. I had a lawsuit going against him, but it was I was going to have to keep flying back up to Michigan to take care of it, and I finally just gave up. But I heard that since then he has been sued by several people. So I got $60 for the gold tooth. Yeah, I kind of wish we had saved my dad's gold tooth. My dad had a gold tooth right in the front. It was one of the guys that was in his unit in the Army said they used to tell him not to smile in the foxhole because they were afraid that a light would shine off his gold tooth and they'd end up getting shot. Pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, I don't know what happened to his gold tooth, because I know he saved it, but I never found it in the house when I cleaned it out. So I don't know where it went. Maybe my brother has it. Who knows? I am having some issues here, so I think I'm gonna go. It's been a very long day, and I have a lot of phone calls to make tomorrow. I got to try to round up medical records. I got to get a hold of my primary care so she can write me prescriptions for everything that I will need until I get assembled in Michigan, so that I don't run out of meds. That would not be good. So, y'all keep your eyes open. I am getting the stuff mailed out. I did get one out today to Jenna. I don't know where she is tonight, but I got one package out. I got them all ready to go, so I'll be working on that soon. There's more of them than I thought, so I hope I manifest some money in my sleep or some postage stamps. I may come on tomorrow and update you as to what's going on with the package mailings. Sorry I didn't have anything to give away tonight. I don't even know where stuff is. I'm gonna start packing the computer stuff up, so any further shows may be on my phone or my laptop. We will have to see how that works out. So thank y'all for coming to see me. I appreciate it. And y'all have a great night. I'm gonna go lie down after I take my meds. Big hugs. M3 says, meow, baby.